Brainerd. It is February 20th, 2024, 7 p.m. in council chambers. We have 6 items tonight for Safety and Public Works. First item is a street closure event application for the St. Patrick's Day celebration and parade. And this is Jesse Dean, Public Works Director. Go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So attached is the application for the annual St. Patrick's Day celebration and parade. The event's planned for Saturday, March 16th from 11:30 to 2. The parade itself begins at 1 p.m. and proceeds from Maple Street up 7th, east on Laurel, 9th, and then concludes on Front Street. Police staff is going to be assisting with the closure. Staff is recommending approval under the conditions they provide insurance to City Hall prior to the event and request traffic control materials 1 week prior.
Thank you. Is there anybody here to speak for or against the St. Patrick's Day parade? Mr. Mayor.
Yeah, my name is on the application, so I'll just speak briefly. It is the 24th annual St. Patrick's Day parade in downtown Brainerd. So, super exciting. The event is pretty much going to be the same as it has been in the last handful of years, and everyone is really excited to do so.
Thank you.
Mr. Chair?
Yeah,
Can I ask the mayor a question?
sure.
Okay. Mr. Mayor, is any money of your contingency fund supporting this parade?
It is not. This is supported directly through community action and the fundraising efforts of a small group called the St. Patrick's Day Committee.
Thank you.
Excellent.
I expected better, but. Okay. Move to approve.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any more discussion? There are no leprechauns on the committee.
That I'm aware of. But they're tricky little fellows.
All right.
Lot of
Any
gold.
more discussion? Hearing none, go to a vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes. Item number 2, we have Brainerd Restoration Downtown Welcome Bench. Again, this is Public Works Director Dean. Go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Brainerd Restoration has made some revisions to the proposed welcome bench in downtown. Comments received by the council were to remove the sections of the black decorative railing as well as adjusting the seating design and finalizing the location. The proposed plans have been adjusted to reflect the comments received, and the location is planned for the southeast corner of 7th and Laurel as shown in the plans. Woodseth is also here for any questions that the council might have.
Excellent. I like the changes. Looks a little safer. Looks a little less straddly.
We're here to please, sir.
Jamie, do you want to speak on it? Anything to say if you want to come up? Name and address, please.
Jamie Beezer, 160 Pineview Drive, Brainerd, Minnesota.
Thank you.
Let's see. So this has been in front of you a few times. This most recent iteration is taking into account the most recent comments from city staff, and like you just said, each iteration makes it a little bit better. Issues regarding safety, sometimes it comes down to just even a matter of opinion, and making people feel like it is safer is just as important as whether or not it actually is sometimes. So all of those considerations were taken into account and adjusted, and the final, or well, I shouldn't say final, but the iteration we have right now, I think it's a great piece that can be a welcome add to downtown Brainerd.
Excellent.
I don't want to spend too much time talking about it since it has been in front of you a few times.
I think
But more than happy to
Mr. Chair?
speak to any
Yeah.
questions you might
I think
have.
if each time we send it back, it gets better. Maybe we should send it back again.
Keep going, yeah. No, I think honestly, we've
I'd
pretty
move to
much
approve
covered.
it.
Second.
Yeah. We have a motion and a second. I agree with the motion. Any more discussion? Hearing none, go to a vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Thanks, Jamie.
Thank you all.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Item number 3, we have plans and specs and authorization of bidding for improvement 2315 and 2327 Evergreen Avenue and Bluff Avenue rehabilitation. Public Works Director Jesse Dean, go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So staff has prepared the plans for Evergreen and Bluff Avenues rehab project. Originally, the scope was planned for resurfacing. Due to some ADA requirements that would have resulted in some significant cost increases, staff changed the scope to more of a large amount of patching, followed by a seal coating of the surface to preserve it for several years until a more thorough reconstruction can be completed. Staff is recommending approval of the plans and authorizing bidding for the Evergreen and Bluff rehabilitation project.
Mr. Chair,
Yeah, Jeff?
can you be more specific about what those requirements were with the ADA that prevented made the cost exceed what we're able to do?
So we have some adjacent sidewalk and pedestrian ramps that per our ADA transition plan, we would have had to replace and make them ADA compliant with the project. We have to do that with resurfaces as well. With a patching, it's more of a repair. We are not held to those requirements for this type of a project.
Mr. Chair?
Yeah.
I actually am kind of glad to see this because I'm afraid that if we don't take care of what's underneath that street, although it's in the right of way, we could be doing some digging up where we wouldn't necessarily want to dig up if we did a more thorough job on this. So I'd rather see this than what we had planned originally.
Yeah, I agree. I'm just curious, the ADA compliance, it seems like we have ADA compliant sidewalks there in my mind, but what is it missing currently?
Those aren't compliant. There's some slope issues. The sidewalk does not have a landing after the ramp. There's a few other pieces there. And because it's on a significant grade, it would be very challenging for us
Gotcha.
to construct that, so.
Thank you.
Jesse, how much time are we buying ourselves with this before we have to do the full?
Ideally, at least a 10-year window with the seal code, but it really depends on how well it holds up and how much traffic it gets.
I'd move to approve it as recommended here by staff.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any more discussion? Hearing none, go to a vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes. Item number 4, we have a contract award for the historic water tower rehabilitation Phase 2 project. Again, Mr. Dean.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Staff received 3 bids for the Phase 2 of the water tower rehabilitation. The low bidder was High Tech Construction with a low bid of $436,000. There is only $235,000 in available funds of the project, $200,000 of which is ARPA funding that is required to be spent in 2024. If council does not want to allocate the additional capital funding to award the bid in whole, another option would be to have staff work with High Tech to do some value engineering to remove some of the scope of work to lower the overall cost. One significant cost item is the sandblasting and the repair of the stairs, which is roughly $160,000. The challenge of splitting some of the tasks out are the need for the scaffolding for those tasks. This is also a significant expense. Splitting the tasks will require the cost of scaffolding to be expended multiple times. So we would have to put the scaffolding up to do potentially like the windows here. And if you do the stairs at a future time, you'd have to pay for the scaffolding again at that time. So that's where you get the multiple expenses with the scaffolding. So that's some of the challenges with splitting it out. But we did put it together a few different options there. There potentially would be some other options to get it closer to the 235, but again, we would be removing scope of work to get there.
Mr. Chair?
Yeah, Jeff.
Jesse, what's the benefit of sandblasting? Is it mostly aesthetic?
Preservative to keep the steel from weathering out and having further section loss.
There's a significant amount of rust in some of the areas on those stairs, correct? And that would be taken care of with sandblasting.
That helps with the rusting problem, correct?
Were they supposed to get painted as well?
I don't, the repair patches I thought, but I don't think the overall stairs were gonna get painted, if I remember correctly. I'd have to double check it, but
It would almost seem like the stairs themselves would cost $160,000 or less just to get new ones. I get it, the scaffolding is a huge cost, but without another way to do it, it almost would make more sense to just construct new stairs. I don't know what that would be. something to look
significant to
into.
put new
But
stairs in. Yeah.
I would tend to agree that we try to keep it down to that, closer to that 235,000 as much as we can, and that would make sense to leave that part out, to me at least. The other thing I was thinking of before I read that in there is the windows. If we're gonna eventually redo the outside, wouldn't that be the time to do the windows? Or would it be, do them now and then have to protect them when we're redoing all the exterior?
Probably a different type of operation. The windows would likely be worked on from the outside with a man lift versus the stucco is probably going to be kind of a drop from the top type of scaffolding. So it'll be a little bit of a different type of operation. I don't know if you'd have to do a ton of protection unless you're doing the stucco right next to them. But
Do we know how much the window part of this bid is compared to the stairs? Is it more or less?
roughly about 2.25-ish.
It's less? Okay. 2.25 for,
Windows, scaffolding.
The windows are just really for looks, right? They don't serve a purpose in any way, do they?
Correct.
And we can't alter those, though, can we?
No.
Okay. Just board them up. And then the stairs, I mean, are they just gonna rot away if we don't maintain them, sandblast them? Or, I mean, is there a lifespan of those as they sit right now without doing anything to them that you know of? Or what's your,
Yes, they'll slowly weather over time, and like most things, the more it happens, the more it progresses faster and faster. How long it does have before there's a major failure is tough to say. I do know that there are a few stairs that are questionable that we'd like to see repaired, but that we can potentially take that on a case-by-case basis as we need.
I mean, they are steel stairs. They're not falling apart imminently right now. It's just a preservation step. Is this been brought through the Water Tower Committee, or has the Water Tower Committee met recently? Okay, and I think it's.
Sorry, that was a verbal nod.
thank you.
So they have met, but
heard something
these
shake.
bids were not known at that time, correct?
Correct. We just opened the bids last Wednesday.
Okay. But we're asking to make a decision right now. If we have to make a decision, I would lean towards taking the stairs out and figuring out where that extra 40,000 would come from, revisit the stairs at a different time. I think as long as they work right now, we can come back and fix those areas that I know about. I went up there and there are a few steps that are pretty sketchy, but I think they still work. You know, nobody sees them unless they go in there, and there's nobody going in there but us right now, so.
When you say sketchy, is just kind of, it seems obvious they could be a
I'd
hazard.
have to watch the video I took to remember, but.
Thank you.
Yeah, but I think there was a couple that just kind of looked like they were bent. Maybe somebody had dropped something on them, they kind of bent in the middle.
Oh, so could we, as this goes, say forego any kind of stair sandblasting and just replace or repair as needed on those? Or it seems like a lot of money. I mean, sandblast the stairs to what benefit? Just to prolong the life of them when, like Mike said, we don't know they're made out of what, angle iron? Is that what they are?
I believe they're stainless, aren't they? No, they're not
They're not
stainless.
stainless.
Quarter-inch steel, probably.
Steel, yeah. Yeah.
But okay, but what's the stock it's made out of? Was it just like 1-inch angle iron or?
Rail is 2-inch angle iron, the uprights are 2-inch angle iron. Supports are 3 or 4-inch angle iron.
Okay.
So it's, to rebuild those stairs, a new set of stairs would cost a lot of money,
Right. Okay. But
considering you've
like
got
the
27
support,
feet.
when you say a 3-inch angle, is it like 1/4 inch thick then?
I believe so, it might even be 3/8.
Okay, so that's pretty beefy. I mean, gosh, I can't imagine it's okay. I'm not in favor of doing a lot with those stairs, if that helps. I mean,
We have the ARPA dollars that are set towards this. That's 200,000 of this.
as long as they're useful, or, what's the word I'm looking for, usable. Nobody's in, potential threat of falling through or them breaking or that anybody can speak to, is there? Like that,
There's
Not
always
currently.
that potential.
okay,
I mean, the stairs are 104 years old, and I've gone up and down, and we've all gone up and down them, and they seem to be fine.
okay.
Paul, do you mind coming to the microphone? Sorry. I should have had to do that right away, but I didn't know we were gonna go back and forth.
Paul Scogan, Water Tower Committee, 13347 Norway Drive, Baxter. And I did talk to Jesse. There is another option on this too, is I think it's May 31st, I believe is the large grant application is due on the 31st of May. If we go ahead with the windows and the lighting, which leaves us $140,000 short, we might be able to apply for a grant with the state of Minnesota, through the Historical Society, like we've done in the past for the roof and the plans and a couple other things. We might be able to get a grant to do those stairs at a later date. The problem with the grant is they don't award it till November of 2024. So the stairs would have to be spring of 2025. And by that time, maybe the US government will pass their grants and we have a $500,000 grant that we should be getting from the federal government that we could probably use that for the stairs as well.
Okay,
So the stairs, they will get fixed. It's just a matter of when.
okay. Thank you, Paul.
Yep.
Thank you.
So, do we have a motion or a,
You're pretty quiet over here.
Yeah, I'm thinking real hard, because I really hate the idea of having to put up the scaffolding twice, but I can't think of a way around it.
There is no scaffolding going up on the windows or the lighting.
the scaffolding would only be for the stairs on the inside or the exterior, correct? Or is there
Yes.
something else on the inside?
Correct.
Okay. Yeah, so that eliminates the scaffolding if we
Then I
just
don't have
don't
to
do the
worry about
stairs.
So then let's just not do the stairs.
Okay,
I will move that we not do the stairs, hope the federal government passes a budget that gives us $500,000.
Second, that's a motion you're hoping.
yeah,
Yeah.
I like
a motion to hope.
Motion to hope. We're a hopeful city, Jeff.
So this is option 2?
Option 2.
All right, motion and a second. Do we have any more discussion? Hearing none, go to a vote. All in favor? Aye. Motion passes. Next item we have is discussion on Trunk Highway 210, Washington Street reconstruction street lighting layout. Again, this is Public Works Director Dean. Go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Staff is discussing with BPU and SRF the layout of the proposed street lighting on the Highway 210 project. There are a couple options for the council to consider regarding the layout. Included in the packet are a couple examples of each option, as well as a couple photos that kind of show the difference between the two. Staff also included a rough estimate of the cost of each option, understanding that MnDOT is planning to participate in a portion of the cost, estimated roughly at about $500,000. Weighing the options laid out in the agenda item, staff is recommending the alternative number 2 that includes 2 lights at each intersection with any mid-block lighting with staggered spacing. And I can answer any questions the council has on this.
I can say I like the thought of this. I like the recommendation in the end. Adding more lighting seems almost the opposite of what a lot of people in the city are asking for sometimes, but it is a safety concern. I think as long as the main marked crosswalks are lit up a little more than the rest of the intersections, I think that covers a lot of those safety issues. So I think keeping it similar to what we have right now is the smart way to go. Anybody else? Okay,
And is that the recommendation by staff then?
that is recommendation.
Alternative 2.
Correct.
I would move to recommend the council the staff's recommendation on the street lighting.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any more discussion? Hearing none, go to a vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes. All right, item number 6, final item tonight for SPW. We have a denial of a secondhand auto dealer's license for Tower Motors. And this is Mr. Kramvik, Community Development Director. Go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So staff is recommending denial of the secondhand auto license application from Tower Motors under section 1005.21 and 1005.27 of the city code, which states a license issued or to be issued by the city may be denied, suspended, or revoked by council for any of the following causes listed in this subsection. So with that, the first is for repeated late payments over a 3.5-year period of the motor vehicle excise tax, with 41 total late payments and 10 late payments over 100 days. This references subdivision 7 of that code, which states failure to continuously comply with all conditions required as precedent to the approval of the license. This tax was a referendum that was voted on by the city and implemented on April 1st of 2007. Second is for violations of the zoning code pertaining to outdoor storage of tires. This references subdivision 6 of the code, which states actions unauthorized or beyond the scope of the license granted. Previously issued secondhand auto dealer's license did not permit the illegal storage and sales of tires from the parking lot, which are in violation of the zoning code. The third is for denial of the fire marshal inspection. Section 1005.27 states the city health authority and other appropriate city officials may enter upon the premise where any licensed activity is being conducted for the purpose of inspection at any reasonable hour. Just to note, the fire marshal was allowed 2 days later, but not the day that he went to inspect the property. And fourth would be for multiple fire code violations that were issued, that were also issues last year. Staff did attach last year's inspection as well as this year's, specifically for the indoor and outdoor storage of tires. This references subdivision 4, which states conducting such license activity in such a manner to constitute a breach of the peace and menace to health, safety, and welfare of the public. So with that, staff recommends denial of the license based on staff's findings in the report.
Thank you, Mr. Kramvik. So we have a history of violations here, not just with late taxes, late applications, but also zoning code violations that are repeated, even with communication with staff. And 2 years in a row where there are at least 10 failures in a fire inspection. I don't think there's any question whether or not we move to deny this or not, but those are my thoughts.
I could get over the, late payments and the late filings, but the fire marshal's reports are just, I can't.
Right, that's kind of what pushes it.
Mr. Chair,
Yep.
when we talk about late payments, is the owner notified each time they're late, or is this just a record of their late pay? I mean, what's the process on that, if you would, Mr. Kramvik?
I'm not sure if they're notified. Connie may be able to answer that if they're notified monthly, but there are notifications sent out and correspondence sent out.
Okay.
Thank you.
Well, Mr. Chair, as much as I don't want to stop a business from operating, there are some pretty extreme violations here that it's kind of hard to turn a blind eye to, if you will. So,
Seems to me like staff has tried to work with this company for well over a year now, and there just hasn't been a whole lot of work in the other direction, so.
I would recommend to the council that we deny the license application as recommended by staff.
Is that a motion?
If it's a motion, I'll second
I
it.
move, yes. I thought I said.
Motion and a second. Any more discussion? Hearing none, go to a vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes. We can adjourn to the council meeting.
Mr. Bevins?
He just,
Oh, thought he was